got some ideas
Maybe we
going.
should call it the maybe we should call it the Nameless Podcast.
The Nameless Podcast. I like it.
The
I
name.
like it. We are. We are joined here not by Cross. I forgot to change that. My bad. But by.
Ah man, it's
Whoops.
still the same to
Whoops.
me.
Yeah. My bad. My bad. Hold on. Where is it? Anyway, how you guys doing, KuoGames and Wolfzuzu?
Well, I'm a little hungover from partying a little too hard last night, but aside from that, I'm doing well. I'm kind of melting like all the time at the moment because it's way too hot here.
Yeah, it's really hot for me as well.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. What about you, Zuzu?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm still getting my driving license sorted, so that's kind of taking up most of my time. I also had to see the doctor about my nose, which has been kind of annoying. I'm much rather like do everything else than going to doctors, but like, did you know that if something's wrong with your nose, it might be something about your stomach? Because they did a gastro something to me, where they took a huge tube and shove it down my throat. Basically, it was the worst experience I've ever had in life.
Wow.
Yikes.
Ew. I mean, the entire human body is connected, so I guess.
And the Nobel Prize for scientific discoveries goes to Novarias. Yeah, I know, but like you wouldn't associate like pain in the nose with something to do with the stomach, right? Like.
I mean, yeah, I get that. It's kind of it's very human to think that way. You know.
Fair enough. But I just had my session like about an hour ago. It was a blast, but I'm like, I'm feeling the after effects of running a 4-hour session as a dungeon master. It takes some energy out from you, but don't worry. I have water. It's not black water. I know I'm disappointing everybody because last week I brought black water.
Did you?
Next week, yes. Yeah, do you not remember? I was like, there's one thing you should know about me is because I'm an idiot because I buy black water.
Really?
There you go. Yeah.
Completely spacing out on that. Yeah. I mean.
Probably for the better for my character.
Yeah. See, this is why you don't talk about embarrassing things because people might have forgotten about them.
Yeah.
And then you're just
right.
bringing it up and
You just make it worse for yourself.
everyone
It's not
realizes.
embarrassing for me. I just know that people are haters and they'll be like, "Oh, what the fuck? Why are you drinking that?" Nah, I'm kidding.
I got
It's
my
stupid.
doggo. That's like
Yeah.
he's a little bit nervous. I hope he's not gonna be doing any barking. He usually doesn't. It's really odd. It's really
It's
odd.
like you're inviting him to bark. Like, I hope you don't do any barking. Like
Yeah.
a little wink.
I did not get a haircut. I'm talking to a princess of Neptune there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'm gonna
though.
say I don't
Thanks.
care.
Thanks though.
That's so rude. I'm sorry.
Telling me I'm looking good. I'm always looking good. Let's be honest. All right, let's talk about settings in RPGs. I think we like an easy first question to me seems what's some of your favorite settings? What's some of your least favorite settings? And yeah, I give you guys some time to think about it, like 5 minutes maybe. So you better have a good answer.
The clock starts now.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to go first or should I?
Well, I mean, for me, there is not much to say because I have so far literally only been involved with the Forgotten Realms setting and no other. So
I mean, like
it's very good.
not you like you can expand on that, right? You don't have to just keep it to RPGs. What maybe perhaps a better question is what setting would you like to see in an RPG or like to play? So your favorite setting in that respect, where you see a setting you really like and you wanna get in there,
Yeah, you want to D&D up stuff.
and one you
Right.
definitely don't want to get in. Like for me, it's easy. The one I definitely don't want to play in a D&D setting is World of Warcraft, like the Warcraft setting.
Oh.
I don't. I really don't. Like
It's a good one.
it's one of those big ones that I just say I like it's not interesting to me. Like specifically for an RPG kind of game.
I mean,
Fair enough.
See, the way that sounds to me, like playing World of Warcraft as a pen and paper RPG is like going in a circle, right? So like we start with like not clean water, so we run it through role-playing games. Then we take that purified water and we put it into MMORPGs, and then for some reason we put it back into like role-playing games. It's just
Yeah.
It's an interesting universe, but I completely agree with you. Like I don't really see that connection.
Yeah. I never said it was a bad universe or just.
Yeah.
I just. Not in my
I-
RPGs.
I mean, I hate the story as an MMORPG. I mean, not a lot of MMORPGs do this good, anyways, right? Like,
It's
so, like, I should
really
complain-
hard to do, right? Because you can't have a main character basically.
Yeah, but that's the problem, right? Like, whenever you play, I came back for Warlords of Draenor because like that's such a cool concept. We're going back in time. We're gonna like see what's going on there, and then the first 10 minutes, my character doesn't matter. Like I'm just watching a cutscene about all the other dudes that are much more important than me, and they're like, "Champion, let's go!" And I'm like, "Oh, finally, the camera's gonna be on me." No,
Nope.
the cinematic ends, and I'm running. I'm like, "Oh, it's so immersive." Yeah, I hate
Yeah,
it.
it's really weird because even when they put the camera on you, you don't like you're this nameless champion. You're basically anyone. They do that in the latest expansion where I forgot who the Argrimmar, I think Angrimmar or whatever. Like it's a cutscene where you're walking out of this temple kind of thing, and he just lands on top of you, and you get out. Like they teleport you out of there in the nick of time, and then the camera's on you, and you look like very epic while he's like shooting fire at you, but you don't feel like that's like you.
That's my character. That's my boy. Yeah.
Let's get back to you guys' settings.
Yeah, sure.
I said my least favorite one that I definitely do not
Yeah.
want.
I'm gonna say my least favorite in the sense that like I've played it before and I would never want to play it again. Was a little role-playing game. It's called Savage Worlds, and basically the idea of it is that it's settingless, like it doesn't have any settings, but they have a bunch of like settings that they either license from other people, and there's some very good ones like Deadlands, I think it's called. It's basically like fantasy plus western, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool concept. But there's another one that's called Weird Wars, and it's fantasy plus World War II. What's gonna happen? Or like fantasy plus Roman times. What's gonna happen? And I played Weird Wars World War II, and it was the worst, like the most awful experience. It was like somebody was trying to direct an Indiana Jones movie, but they didn't have enough money to have Indiana Jones in it, so they had
Yikes.
us. Like that's the way it felt. Maybe that's not the fault of the setting entirely, but after like that experience, I never want to go back to it. Like it was just awful.
Huh.
There you go. Oh, settings that I don't think have RPGs, but they might. I mean, World of Warcraft actually has a role-playing game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has it or not, but I really don't want to see the Matrix. I guess. Like I also think
that's a
another
good one. I do not. Yeah, I agree.
No, thank you.
No.
I'll pass on it.
Like would Neo have to be in there?
Of course. And he would be better than your character, obviously, because he's the one. You're the
Yeah.
second.
See, that's
Or the third, or the
that's
fourth,
where
or
you
the
lose
fifth.
me. That's where you lose me. I mean, I guess if you break down the story, but just keep the setting.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But then why are you playing The Matrix if it's not about the characters that you enjoyed on the screen, right? It's like, it's the same why World of Warcraft would kind of fail, because like,
Yeah. I guess
it's all about those characters.
I guess that's true.
What do you think, Cole?
Yeah.
Man, that's a tough question. I'm not sure if I have any setting where I would say that I just like where I would just not want to play it at all. Because typically I'm pretty interested in all things that people like come up with overall. I'm sure if like I would if I would try a lot of these settings, like I would definitely find some where I was like, well, okay, this just isn't up my alley. But it's hard for me to like come up with one kind of just off the bat.
Well, what about something that you have experienced in the real world and you're like, yeah, that's a cool concept, but like I don't feel like I'd want that as a, you know, like maybe a movie or something, or maybe like a series, where you really feel like, you know, that doesn't work, or like people, right?
I mean, I definitely agree that with it, I think it's pretty much in line with what you guys have said so far. Is that it's hard to enter in like an RPG world, basically in a very like established universe. For example, like the whole World of Warcraft thing, or like a Matrix RPG or something like that, because there's always going to be someone who's just so much more important than you are.
Right.
And obviously, like that's a big part of playing something like D&D, is that eventually you want your character to be like the hero and the main, you know, like the main guy. So if that's not even possible, like right off the bat, then yeah, that is not very appealing. You know, like if you were to play something like a Matrix RPG and like you start and then right at the beginning they're basically like, well, you can be like kind of cool, but you know, you're never gonna be like Neo cool. You know, it's like
dude, this is a nightmare scenario where the dungeon master is a fanboy of the movie.
Oh,
He's
no,
like,
no,
you could
no.
never be as cool as Neo or Morpheus. I mean, you can try, but Morpheus always comes in the last second.
Well, the thing is, like the alternative is even worse, unfortunately, right? Because you would have to be like, well, yeah, Neo's the one, and it's still like canon, but you can somehow like become stronger than he is.
You're the one-er.
Yeah, it's like you're the zeroth. It's like,
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Yeah.
When actually, let me ask you this. When I say setting, I actually don't necessarily think of the story, but rather of the world that they're in. But I guess it would include both, right?
Yeah, it's hard to have one without the other, I feel like.
No, I think you can have like a world without the story. Like you try to detach the story, but just keep the world.
Maybe.
For instance, Matrix would be robots for some reason use humans as batteries, and then put the humans in the stasis where they think they're in the real world while they're actually not. Like that could be the like that's the world basically.
Could be interesting, yeah.
And you can add elements like there is a rebel group of humans that's trying to free humanity or something like that. I guess yeah, I guess they're not, right? And come to think of it, in the story, they never really try to free all of them. They just focus on very specific objectives, but never to rescue all of them.
Yeah, I mean, overall, like, this is going to be a total tangent if we keep going into that direction. But overall, it's like...
I was, for a joke...
If you really look into it, then obviously the humans are the bad guys in the whole Matrix story. Because, like, the machines are just using what's kind of natural to them. And it's easy to kind of look at it and be like, well, it's kind of like what humans are doing to like animals in the real world, right? Like if from the perspective of the animals, then yes, we're all like crazy enslavers that yet like use their entire species for our gains, but like that's that's literally what we do, and that's exactly what the robots in the Matrix are doing as well. So
yeah, I mean, like look at a chicken farm.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only thing that's missing is a giant tube down your throat that's controlling you, and you're in. Like the machines are more humane because they give us a world where everything is happy. No,
that's actually
the chicken.
I will
the
say
chickens
though,
are fucked. They're just in this horrible situation, right? Like,
I will say though, still doesn't make sense because it's much easier for you to get energy in other ways than through like humans.
No.
But all right, I'll leave it there. I was actually gonna talk about another setting. I wanted to bring that one up. The Lion King. Like I thought for a moment as a joke, like that might be a bad one, but actually, come to think of it,
oh no.
Maybe that could be a good one. What do you think? Be part of the pride?
I don't go to DeviantArt. I can't. I got nothing.
Yeah, that's
Is that too weird? Is that where you guys say no? Would you not want to be an animal?
Okay, I'm not gonna call her out by name, and I'm just gonna. Well, I already said it was a her. Fuck it, doesn't matter. I had a girl who came in whose only experience was role playing through texts, and what she was role playing was, oh, we're all like different types of cats,
Okay.
but we're like sentient, and like she showed me a bunch of pictures that she drew, and like one of them has like a Roman helmet, and one of them
Okay.
has like this pretty little cape that they've got like this. What you're talking about is happening, and it's on
I
Demon
mean,
Art.
I know it's happening. Like, no way it wasn't happening. Like, that's something. Like, you're talking
No
about
way.
something different though. Because I was thinking like without.
Oh, it's
like,
in the universe of the Lion King.
Yeah, basically. Where
Yeah,
you
no,
could-
no, no. I'm saying
where
that
you could-
what I'm talking about.
Wait, what?
It's in the universe of the Lion King. Yeah,
But with the clothing, the animal clothing.
yeah.
I don't like that part. See, that's what I don't like. Like, give me
You're like, no, no, no.
no
Well,
clothes.
how do
Like,
you-
why would you be an animal if you have to wear clothes? Like, that's the best part.
Do you want a practical answer? How are you gonna distinguish every single line? You can't give them all scars. You can't give them all weird colors, like or strange eyes. Like you need to distinguish these characters from somehow. And there's like 100+ players. Like,
I
yeah,
mean,
you gotta
just
give them like a
names.
helmet.
Like, you just give them names, right? Because, like, how do you distinguish characters in RPGs? Like, you don't
Right.
necessarily, like, you always describe them, right? But you can do that with those animals as well. Besides, you don't always have to be lions, you know. I mean, there are other animals.
Oh
out
well, that's. But the way I describe it, you know, like this is why like all the players always, whenever they start or whenever they're invested into one game for the first time, they like to go a little bit weird. So you see a lot of people go like, oh, I want to play a Yuan T cleric. They're like, okay, and then like somebody says like, oh, I really want to play a Triton who came from the other world, and I'm basically Superman.
Wait,
I was thrown. Yeah, like I had a player like that. He was like, yeah, there was a different planet somewhere. So he established that in my world there's planets now. Okay, cool. And
Yeah.
I was thrown on a meteorite and I fell into it, and I'm basically Superman. And I'm like, awesome. Did you fall into Kansas that doesn't exist in my world? Like, but that happens a lot with people who either begin play or that's just the way they feel about it. They like to feel special, and that's like where marketing also capitalizes. But that's why those animals have like gear and stuff because they want to feel special. They're like, well, I'm Scar, but with a helmet.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
Oh, okay.
That's actually a very interesting topic. I think that maybe doesn't fit in to what we're doing
Yeah,
today, but
definitely.
like
No.
talking about different player types, I think is definitely something we should touch on sometime. Because man, I had that recently where I was running a one shot and we had this one person who's like, I'm like a protector Asimar who fell down onto the earth and is like this crazy, and everyone else had like cool character concepts that really fit the setting, and it was just so out there, it's just like, yeah, that's cool, but like what my guy's doing is like the super awesome from outer space, I don't know, angel protector lord thing, whatever, and it was like, well, okay, man, like.
It's
I
like
don't
like you're in the Bloodborne setting. Like everyone is like one of those characters that you see in Bloodborne, right? And then
Yeah.
one guy is like, I want to be a pony that poops out rainbows.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like do something
Yeah.
that's appropriate to the setting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it's still about settings, but we should really call this podcast
Sure.
Tangent or something because we always go on one.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's another good one. That yeah.
An RPG that I really like at an RPG setting is probably Shadowrun. Shadowrun is an
Oh, yeah.
amazing setting.
That's
I've
true.
heard of that
It's
a
so
lot,
cool.
but I've never really like interacted with it at all.
I've seen. I mean, I've seen the gameplay. I'm less interested in their system where you roll a lot of d6s, and if you roll a lot of sixes, you get to roll more d6s.
Yeah.
See, I like that. I like the because it's like it makes you feel different. It doesn't make you feel like we're playing D&D again because you're rolling d20s.
Yeah,
Like-
I'm not saying d20s. I'm just saying the way it works.
Like the mechanics of it all.
They
I
don't
get it.
really
It's too
interest me.
complicated.
But I agree where the world is like really cool. And if you haven't played it, there's also the video game Shadowrun.
Yeah, and
It's
they're amazing.
yeah, they're amazing as well. I haven't
There's
played all of them.
Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Dragonfall, and then Shadowrun Hong Kong. But also, all of the people who have played them, you can also edit stuff and make your own. And I've
Yeah.
played like a bunch of really good side stories that were made by players.
I've not played the Shadowrun games yet. That's definitely going to be something that I have to like.
Dude,
catch
you
up
should
on.
definitely-
If you want to be
Dude,
introduced
stream
into the
it.
world, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Stream
Did you guys?
that. I
Did
wanna
you guys
watch-
know that? Did you guys know that there are like Neverwinter games as well? Like in
Yes.
the Forgotten Realms thing.
Yeah.
I just learned about that today because I was doing some research on the city of Neverwinter because that's where
Yeah.
my PCs went today,
I mean,
and
there's an MMO.
I was like, there's apparently 2 games about Neverwinter that are actually canon as well, apparently, which is
I
interesting.
mean, yeah. and Is it like one of them was the MMO, right? Like that's called Neverwinter.
That's Neverwinter's 2.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it?
I'm not sure.
There's also
I know that they're, like-
Neverwinter wait, there's 3 Neverwinters now. Neverwinter 1 and 2. And then
Yeah,
there's-
the Neverwinter 1 and 2 are like the single-player RPG
Yeah,
games.
yeah.
I think that's
And
what
then-
I was referring to.
But the
yeah.
second one, Neverwinter, the second one has a multiplayer aspect to it, where you can create stories. It's not that good, but it still exists. Some of my friends used to use it to run
Okay.
D&D.
Wasn't
Um,
there?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't there
and then
recently
there's-
another game?
Yeah, there's
in-
an MMORPG which is called Neverwinter, which is I played
No,
it.
no.
It's on my PS4. It's pretty okay.
No. Like I thought there was a Baldur's Gate kind of game about the setting, like recently released.
Yeah. Recently, there's Dragon Spear, which is an expansion to Baldur's Gate, but I don't know anything else.
Yeah, maybe that's just it. Like I'm not.
There was a re-release of Planescape Torment.
That might be it.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of people being pretty happy with that one.
Yeah. Anyway, if you've never played or heard of Shadowrun, it's fantasy plus cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it is
I've
a-
definitly heard of it, but
I'm talking to the viewers mostly, but like, yeah, maybe they don't know.
sure.
Yeah, you got your trolls, you got your half orcs, you got
Yeah,
your elves, and then you got your spirit realm, but then you also have the cyber realm because it's futuristic and shit, and there's like you're like always in these big cities, right, with lots of neon lights.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And
so
so
good.
the main theme of the whole setting is combining fantasy and technology, and the idea of cyberpunk, which is like you're being oppressed by these giant corporations. So obviously the people who are more oppressed are, the orcs, the trolls, the dwarves, the people who look strange. Like the elves kind of get off the hook,
Right.
because they're pretty. There's a lot of corporations that fight each other, and basically nations don't really exist. I mean, they are on paper, but the world is controlled by corporations, and there's not much you can do about changing that. But most campaigns that you play is you play as Shadowrunner, and it doesn't mean that you're just fighting corporations. It could be string gangs, it could be other Shadowrunners, and it could be that you're I don't remember what it's called, but it's really cool. It's a really cool idea in the setting where you are a Shadowrunner, but you work for a corporation.
Ooh.
Okay.
Down other corporations.
Nice.
And I had
Interesting.
I had a free session. I guess it's not a one shot, but like a mini campaign, where we were playing like some pretty awful people who worked for a corporation trying to like make some stuff happen for another one. And yeah, it's really interesting. It really sucks you in. The rules are hard to understand and very like not friendly to noobs. Like if you're trying to get into it and you're like, yeah, I love the setting. The 5th edition is about 600 pages long.
Wow. How much
There
do you
is
actually
an-
need?
All of it, because
No.
there's an entire section that is about just playing a single class, which is the Decker class. The Decker class and what it does, its side of the mechanics is totally different to whatever the fuck everyone else does, and that's
So you're
like that's.
as a DM
yeah,
you need
it's
everything,
awful.
but as a player,
Oh,
you
as
don't.
a player, I mean, pray to God that you don't play a Decker, number one, because otherwise, like, welcome to 200 pages of I don't understand this shit. Let me watch a couple of videos, because I went as a Decker, and I still don't understand how it works. So we simplified the rules, because it was just so mind-numbingly, like, intense. it's really like, you know how people who like Rick and Morty are like, oh, you need higher level of IQ to really understand the show. Like, no kidding about Shadowrun. You need a higher level of IQ than I probably got, because like to keep all of that in your head at all times and actually enjoy and play the game. Like, if you can do that, wow. I
see,
can't.
that's one of the things that, at least from like just listening to it, just makes me like not very interested in it because it's I want to be able to play the game. You know, if it's like I want to be able to make my character and then look at some of the rules and basically be able to like play and understand what I'm doing after about like 2 or 3 sessions. You know, like if I'm just getting into a system. So yeah, thinking about the fact that I would have to like basically every session go back through like my notes and somehow like have someone explain it to me like over and over again doesn't sound like super appealing.
It's definitely like you gotta want to play Shadowrun because like there's a learning curve. But after the 3 sessions that I did have, the mini campaign, like I'm pretty confident I could play it again. I will never use a decker. And if I run the game, I, as a dungeon master, will say like, "There's no decker. Sorry, like nobody can
all
pick a
deckers
decker."
are just dead, like they just died.
No, like no. It's like I will just have an NPC decker with you, so that he can help you with stuff. No, I'm serious. That like I usually don't do like DMPC. No. Decker PC. He's right here. Like he's with me.
He's like the one loyal guy that no one can kill because like the story just needs him. Yeah, no.
Plot armor.
I definitely do not like those, but you see them in video games all the time, where it's like some characters can't die.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying that in Oblivion or Skyrim I want to kill children. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you do. There's a mod for that. Just saying.
That's
I know.
That's such an interesting thing that you just brought up, because like let's say I'm running a Star Wars game and it's episode 4, and for some stupid reason I decided that I wanted to use Darth Vader for this encounter, and the PCs get him into a corner and he can't escape and he's on really low health because of what happened. But he doesn't die in the 4th episode, he dies in the 6th one.
I would say.
And this is the setting. Like, do I, as a GM, have the prerogative? You know what? Let's change the timeline. These 4 scrubs killed Darth Vader.
I mean, I would say yes. I would say yeah. Just be like, you know what? From now on, it's my world. It's our like the game's world, and I think that you need to chase that. I definitely think it would have some huge ramifications, right? And it would be very interesting to see how that develops. So I would say go all out.
And that's kind of what you have to expect. Like you put yourself into that position.
That's
like if you
true.
get into that point, like if you're uncomfortable with being in that position, you probably made a mistake like a couple steps back. Because that's kind of what you have to expect if you're like, yeah, I'm gonna put him up against like the main bad guy of like the entire established universe of Star Wars, basically.
I mean,
like
it's one of those things.
PCs are always gonna find a way to kill
exactly.
the one guy you don't want to die.
Yeah, it's like you put Darth Vader in, they see it, they will find a way. Like they will say, you know what? Let's make a Star Destroyer just crash land right on top of him.
This is gonna be your one mission in this existence.
That's what they'll do. And
it's definitely so. How do any of you like enjoy comics, like comic books? Any of you read them?
Yeah.
Not actively.
I mean, I
I
don't read them regularly, but I definitely enjoy them.
There's 2 tropes in comic books. Number 1, nobody's really dead, right? Like anyone can come back. And like sometimes that's a good thing because you're like like I really want this character to return. Like just wait 10 years, don't read the comics, he'll come back. Like like it's not a problem, right? And then the second trope is that like they have to one up each other. But how do you one up something when something is literally like, right, this is the fate of the universe. This is a huge collaborative thing. Like, it's like why I don't believe that the next Infinity War movie is going to be any good, because like they build up the stakes so high that like, where are you going?
I see.
Where are you going to go from here?
I mean,
but that's
can we speculate on that? Like, is that okay? Like, what I think is going to happen? Like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know.
You haven't read the script, right?
Yeah, exactly. I really don't know. But what I think is gonna happen, somehow they're gonna get the time crystal, make time go backwards, and
Yeah.
prevent it from happening. And then the
You
story
know-
will continue.
Right.
And
You know
that's,
what would be? Uh-huh.
that's actually kind of sad because I want to see it continue on. And
Yeah.
the only thing I hate about that is that Spider-Man's dead because I don't want him to be dead. Spoiler
I don't
alert.
feel so good, Mr. Star.
You should have probably mentioned that before.
Spoiler alert.
Whoops.
This is put like a spoiler at the beginning. When this is a YouTube video, put like a
Yeah.
spoiler at the beginning, like
Yeah.
spoiler about, because people will
It's-
get mad.
Look, it's fine. It's fine.
No,
Don't-
no, like I understand why people get mad. Like if it's something they've been looking forward to for 10 years, like.
Yeah,
But
but like, how long has it been out?
like 4 months.
What? No.
I mean, I still haven't seen it. I'm just saying, but
What?
you know.
Nova, the ruiner of worlds.
No, I'm a horrible person.
Yeah, you are. I will. Well, like, I will speculate that, they will do something along those lines where they just reverse whatever happened and everyone's happy again. But what I want to happen is, like, something weird like a comic book would do, which is like, yeah, when he did the action, it didn't just make everyone go away. It made 2 separate universes.
Well, now you're just
And
spoiling
now-
everything.
And now Spider-Man is now it's well. Look, you spoiled the best part, which is
What do
little
you
boy
mean I spoiled the
65.
best part? I said one thing. I didn't say how. I didn't say why. I didn't.
I didn't say how either.
No, you did. You,
No.
You kind of
I
did.
said when he did his thing.
Yeah, but like. I know, man. I know.
You can't go back now. You guys ruined it.
Yeah, I
That's
think we
fine.
should just shut up about it. I thought it was out for longer. I thought it was out for like at least a year for some reason.
No, not at all.
Oh well.
It's very recent. Anyway, as a tangent, we need to call the podcast tangent. I can't remember where the fuck we were.
Talking about Shadowrun.
So no, we were talking about Darth Vader in
Right.
in a place like that. Right. So, there's comics of Star Wars, and they keep ramping stuff up, like where they show Luke and Leia and Han and like having adventures, and there was a huge crossover where Darth Vader, Leia Organa, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, fucking everybody was on the same planet fighting. Right, like, okay, what's happening here? And there's all those like moments where like, oh man, Darth Vader's dead. Like, you don't have to fall. You want to make this canon. You're not gonna kill Darth Vader, and that's it. Like, there is always these like perilous points where like, the character's about to die, but he has to be alive for that, movie to be real. So
Yeah.
you can't die, right? So I feel like that's exactly how you will feel if you take a licensed setting,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, and you want to stick to the story. Like, well, yeah, you either don't use anything from those movies at all,
Yeah.
or like you use them but you control it, and
I-
neither is good.
I think it's okay to do like glimpses of the story of what's happening in the movies, like you do glimpses that might cause an effect on the party or on something that's happening, right? But you have to, like, I think you have to definitely keep them separate, because I just don't see it working out unless you are okay
Yeah.
with going off brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you use a setting like an established setting, stay away from those stories is what I say. Or just say like, I really like the world, like I really love the Star Wars like universe, but I don't like
Right.
the way some of the story goes. Like sometimes they do a good job, sometimes it's poor.
Yeah, we talked about that last.
Yeah, exactly.
2 weeks
So
ago.
I'm not gonna go too far into that, but like
Yeah.
you can go in so many different ways there. Like yeah, right. And what about you, Kuo? Like, do you have a favorite one? Because you weren't really Sure, right? Or what did you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like obviously in the context of like RPGs, it's a little bit my experience is limited. So far, like the only campaign
Why
that
don't
I
we
ran and like the game that I played. Sorry, what was that?
why don't we change the question instead of like what's your favorite to what's a setting that you really want to
Yeah.
have a D&D in, like a
Yeah.
you know, not a D&D, like a role playing game, and right? What would you really want to try out as a
I'd say
D&D?
like if there was a way that encapsulates the way that The Witcher 3 worked as like a its own RPG system, like not just the setting, but like the
Witcher
entire
is coming
system.
out on Gen Con. Witcher, the role playing game, is actually
Really
announced and
interesting.
it's coming out on Gen Con,
Oh,
and
That's super
apparently.
interesting.
And apparently, there's two ways to play the game. You can be the Witchers, or you can be people in the world.
Would you be a party of 4 Witchers? I guess maybe
So,
young Witchers, that might be a thing.
so the way that works is like Witchers themselves, like it's just Geralt that goes alone. Witchers usually require other Witchers to complete contracts because not
Oh,
everyone
okay.
can take down a Griffin single-handedly. I mean,
Yeah.
Geralt is the legendary Witcher.
Right,
Everyone
right,
else
right.
is kind of like right
Okay,
here. So like it would make sense to be a party of Witchers.
Right.
Yeah, because I've only seen like The Witcher through Geralt's eyes, and then it's like, yeah, Witcher
Yeah.
is a loner, but
Yeah, I mean they have become loners because also there's not a lot of them left. But like, you skip back to when Geralt began his career, like about 150 years ago. He's lived a long time, because of the mutagen and stuff.
Yeah.
Like witchers usually die young, but somehow he survived because he's the legendary. Whatever, doesn't
Right,
matter.
right, right.
He's the one. So there used to be a lot of witchers, and now there's not as many. That's why they don't team up as much. But I mean, like imagine like going down against like a dragon, right? You need more than one witcher, right? You want to.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But that'd be interesting because like that's actually something that I thought about for a while. Is like if I could manage to somehow like implement that into like a 5th edition class or something like that. But it's just like if you look at the game, like to basically represent it accurately, like someone like Garrett will just be able to do like so many things that it would be completely overpowered in comparison
it's kind
to
of
like
a hybrid
the other
class,
classes.
right? It's kind of a hybrid class between, I want to say, rogue, ranger, and then something magical, like sorcerer.
I mean, it's like
But it-
yeah, that's the thing. It's like
it's
you
basically
basically
a
have
hybrid-
Oh.
like you have like fighter, ranger, alchemist. Like
Yeah.
there's like a bunch of different things that you would have to do, and like it would be kind of tough to be able to kind of like
Go ahead.
implement all these different things into one class. I feel like.
Yeah, go ahead, Susie.
Okay, right. So 2 days ago, IGN played a full session of Witcher, and it's out now on their website. So if you want to watch that after the podcast, because you really enjoy this stuff, after the podcast,
Definitely,
you can.
everyone definitely enjoys this. You need to enjoy.
This is the best.
There was-
This is the #1 podcast on Twitch
Sure.
because we only have one viewer.
Yeah. With the dab every time. It's.
I'm just gonna look at like the viewer statistics, and like every time Zuzu dabs, just like it just tanks.
Or
the
maybe
viewership.
it goes up, and you're like, maybe you should do that more, man. No, I'm joking.
Pretty sure
But
that's
yeah.
not true.
But yeah, I am actually hyped. I'm gonna get that book. I'm gonna get Witcher, and I'm gonna collect a bunch of friends, and we'll play it.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
that's
that sounds
awesome.
good.
I wanna talk about two things.
Yes.
One of them is if you have a setting like just normal D&D, you usually get to have those fights where you fight a big thing with like melee weapons. I personally don't like that. Well, like, what do you guys
Okay.
think about that? Like, where in the like you said earlier, like where one or a couple of guys can take down a griffin. Like that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But what do you think? Because they like
For-
hand to
for
hand,
what- for
like
what
hand to
reason?
hand. I mean, well, mostly because
Can you give like a specific context?
like if
I
you
mean, like when you're fighting a dragon or something like that.
yeah, for instance, like it works because it's the dragon attacks, you attack. Dragon attacks, you attack. And like you have the party
Right.
that heals and
So-
supports. Like but you don't have to make like elaborate plans And I understand why you can't really do that in D&D, but I
You
know.
can. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you
Like-
can, but you don't have to. Is what I want to say.
well, okay. I think that really depends on the way your DM goes for it, right? Like, if I have a dragon and it's open air, it's not like his lair or something. The guy is never coming down. He's just gonna like, breath after breath after breath, and if he doesn't like if he doesn't need to recharge it, he's just gonna keep flying. He's
Yeah.
not. He doesn't want to like. He's not on the same
Yeah.
levels as you. He doesn't feel sportsmanship. There's no
Yeah.
like. He wants to destroy you, right? Like.
I hear
so
you, but-
was. Yeah.
Sorry. It's just like if your players are a lot higher level than the dragon, right?
Right.
Doesn't there come a point where the players can very easily take it down with the very few ranged abilities, or maybe they just have ranged abilities? Like, doesn't there come a point where they can just take it down?
So you're saying saying
Then,
that.
like, why would the dragon stick around, right?
Like, is it like I'm just trying to?
I think you're tittering on realism and like the feel that there's no
Yeah.
realism in D&D. Is
Yeah,
that what you're
maybe
saying?
that's the. I
'Cause-
like if there's a giant ass creature, it just doesn't compute with me that you could take it down by shooting an arrow at it just because the mechanics allow you to do that. Where
So-
the guy shooting the arrow is like incredibly high level compared to the dragon. Like
Like-
that's an extreme. That's an extreme. Usually you don't
No,
get
but-
these situations,
But it's a valid question, right? Like, when is too far? Like, if you look at all the level 20 abilities that all the PCs like get, they are not balanced at all compared to each other. Like, one of them is like, oh, you get an aura where everyone gets plus bonuses, and the other one's like, like you shoot a death ray, like, and everyone's fucked. Like, it deals 150 damage. See you later. Like, okay, and then one ability is, oh, you get a wish spell, which means that anything can happen. Yeah, like higher levels. I can't defend D&D, but at the end of that, I would say that like depending on how you DM it, you can make it more real. It's challenged because D&D isn't made to feel realistic.
yeah, that's
It's more of a high fantasy.
I think you can definitely make it work if you're just kind of like creative with it. Like it's the same how like, for example, in like the Lord of the Rings movies, like Legolas taking down one of the Oliphants, like those large like war elephants. You remember that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's still just shooting arrows at like a 20-story high elephant basically, but he's doing it in a strategic enough way that it actually. You aim for like the weak spots, you go for the nerves, and you shoot him in the neck and
like,
whatever.
Three arrows in his skull, or like somewhere. Up
Yeah, it's like to the back of the head or whatever. Like if you like, even if maybe the players aren't smart enough to like, or not, maybe it doesn't really have anything to do with like, straight up intelligence. But if they're like, maybe some players aren't like, they don't want to put in enough like sort of creative energy to be like. I try to aim for certain locations, or I try to sort of do a specific thing. Like if you feel like there's not enough sort of creativity in the way that like maybe they take down a large cave troll or something like that, right? Like maybe you can just describe that if when the ranger attacks, maybe the arrow like lands right below the kneecap of the troll and it starts like sort of lumbering down and sort of losing its balance and stuff like that, and then sort of one by one, like with each successive attack. You have like more ways of describing like how the group is sort of taking down a larger target. I do agree that there are some issues with like hand-to-hand combat with larger creatures because sure, your like dwarven paladin has like 20 strength and like 17 constitution, but if a cave troll takes out his like huge club that's like 3 times the size of the dwarf and like hits him just square in the face, like you can have like, sure, you have like 120 hit points and it deals you like 35 damage, but technically if you were abiding the laws of physics, that should just like throw the dwarf like 60 or to 100 feet away, so it's like hitting a baseball basically. So
but
then again, you could describe HP as something different instead of like he hits your AC like, and it doesn't like actually connect or something, but it like depletes your stamina, which is HP, right? Like, so he, like you roll away just at the last second, but like, yeah, you're getting low on HP, like, right? You're
Right.
about to get hit by this fucking cave troll, and you're gone.
I
right?
do
Like,
I do wanna quickly come back to the Lord of the Rings thing. See, in that world, in that setting, because it's a movie, they can actually show you exactly how Legolas killed that elephant, right? He like climbed it, and then like went right on top, right where you need to be. Like, I mean, besides him being an elf, it's still quite extraordinary, right? But we get it. He's Legolas, and he does that kind of stuff. But he, like, I don't know, it works because of that setting, right? But I just don't see it working in D&D for some reason.
well, I mean, what stops you from either one? Describing it the way Legolas does, right?
I mean,
or number two, well, if the guy's level 20, he's Legolas. So
Right.
yeah, that's just Legolas. That's what he does.
I guess it's just, I guess the thing is, you can't, you like, the only way you can describe it, right, is when you kill the thing, and then the DM asks, how did you kill it, and then you can say it like, I climbed it and then shot it in the face, right? But you can't really
Why
do
can't
that
you just
mechanically,
say it? What, like,
because like that changes mechanical things, right? Like, if you want to climb it, that means you have to do something mechanically with the game.
I see what you mean.
Like, you can't just
But,
describe.
Yeah, it
There's-
boils down to like if it happens in a single turn or if it happens over multiple turns.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah. So
you can't backtrack and say like, well, over the last couple turns, your character has like climbed onto the elephant or something like that. Like, if somehow it's like the finishing move and like they roll to attack and like they deal enough damage to kill it, then yeah, you could be like, yeah, you like run up there and then you finish it off.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, you can't like retroactively be like, oh yeah, by the way, like you were climbing up the elephant the whole time, basically.
So
Yeah.
I guess it's less
Mm-hmm.
setting and more like different medias, right? Like, one is D&D, the game, and then the other one is just a movie, fancy movie. So
Yeah.
and then another thing you said at the end there. What did you say? After the Lord of the Rings bit? I forgot.
Oh, the thing about like being hit by like a cave troll, for example,
Right,
like
right.
as a, like
Yeah,
being
no.
baseball. through
I
the cavern,
like, the
basically.
image that I kept conjuring is like just this cave troll knocking the head off a dwarf, like just knocking it off.
Yeah.
And I couldn't for some reason get
Yeah.
that out of my head.
But again, like it depends on how you describe damage, right? If you
That's
if
right.
you
Yeah, for
describe
sure.
damage, the loss of stamina, right? Like as
Yeah.
something that's like slowly depleting you as a person. Because like, okay, let's say you're a 20th level fighter and you've got plate metal on, and there's 100 skeleton soldiers, and we're just doing an experiment, and they're just gonna keep shooting you until you fall down, right? Like,
Right,
you know,
right.
like, it's not gonna be like you're a hedgehog where you've got like 100 arrows. Well, I'm finally down, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
Reminds me of Skyrim. Just keep shooting the freaking giants and the.
Is someone there?
Yeah.
No, it keeps reminding me of the giants and the mammoths, where you just climb a rock and keep shooting them in the head until they die.
Oh, right.
Like,
yeah,
with
yeah.
200 arrows in your inventory, at the end of the fight you got like 12. It's
Yeah.
like, that makes sense, I guess. Or like, you run out of arrows and then you have to use like the basic spells, like the basic fire spell, to just get them down, but you keep running out of magicka because it's not your class. No, just me.
No, I understand what you mean. Yeah, that's happened to me before, for sure.
But yeah, to get back to setting, I think this exists, but I don't know it. Is there a like setting for RPGs specifically for cooking, like a setting, I guess, that is used for this purpose? Where I played Overcooked yesterday, and all I can think about now is with
Okay,
friends,
I was like, where are you going with this?
no,
What is going
like,
on?
seriously, I want to know, is there like where you have to like get your ingredients in the
A
world?
like
and
one
bring 'em
about
back.
That'd be
being
pretty
a chef?
sweet.
Like, I think it exists though. I
There
think-
is, so number one, you can create it yourself. There's a
That's true.
bunch of like role-playing games which are setting neutral. right? So you can just be like, yeah, this game is
I
about
mean,
cooking, and,
yeah,
and
you
there's
can-
cooking skills.
You can definitely do
Right.
it in D&D. I was just wondering if there
But-
was a setting like where this is really important, or
It comes close. There's two. It's called Maid. One is called Maid, and you're a maid in a castle, and you.
I've
take
heard
care
of that
stuff.
one. I've actually seen
Yeah,
some
Maid
gameplay.
RPG. Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah. And so you gotta cook in there. You gotta clean
Doesn't
stuff.
really sound right to me.
The only reason it's right is
Yeah, I
because
agree.
Jesse Cox was wearing a like maid outfit.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that episode. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about. And then the second one, I think it's called Let's Cook and Grill or something, and I think it's its own system. And it's about like all of you have restaurants, and you're kind of like trying to get into the restaurant business.
Okay, interesting.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anyone that's like, Gordon Ramsay role-playing game. You're like, you fucking donkey!
No, I would still put it
Well-
in like a sort of fantasy setting. I definitely think
What the
fantasy
fuck?
setting.
I love that.
Because then
Oh
you
my
can
God.
go wild. Then you can go wild
Yeah.
because you can have like
What
maybe magical food, right? Where you have to get this one ingredient, this magical ingredient. You have to go out there. Like chefs wouldn't just be. Oh, I spit.
Oh, they're adventurers? Oh
Chefs
my
would
god.
be like these badass adventurers that like
yeah,
go
chefs
out
would
to
have like a reputation, and they'd have like chef-based weaponry, where you have maybe
A
one guy with
spatula.
a spatula, but like a sharp spatula, right? That can be used for cutting purposes.
Monster Hunter
like-
Chef
oh.
Edition.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
great.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of buff dudes. They're basically coded the barbarian. And they're like,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm the best at cooking pies. And the other's like, I'm the sushi master. Like, I fucking love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, fighting like leviathans and like other sea
Yeah,
titans.
yeah,
and stuff like
basically.
Like, I need that tentacle.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Like it would be a world where you can't get your
In a
food
world.
in normal ways. Like you actually have to go out and like there's like you can't cultivate your food for some reason. Like you have to actually go out
Well-
and get it.
That's how the gods of war perpetuate the endless slaughter of animals and beasts.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't keep food. You have to make it.
Well, I mean, I do think that for example, D&D, it would actually be super sweet to have like some homebrew stuff about cooking, for example, because like, for example, if you have like the Wanderer feat, right? You can basically just tell your DM like, yeah, I'm gonna go out and like I'm gonna gather some fruit for the group,
Yeah,
and then your DM is
yeah.
like, okay, sure, you go out into the wilds and like you bring
Maybe-
back food, but like
Yeah,
what
maybe
happens
roll
in the
maybe
meantime
roll a
isn't
dice.
really, like,
Maybe roll a dice because you're going out there alone, right? Maybe you encounter
yeah,
something.
you can maybe roll for like random
Maybe.
encounter, but like at most, like that's pretty much all that's gonna happen. But yeah, why not like have something like in Pathfinder where you have like all of the different like knowledge skills,
Yeah.
right? And have something about like knowledge food or whatever,
Yeah.
and which could be like where you can gather ingredients and like where you could like how to prepare like recipes and like what goes well with other stuff and things like that. Like it wouldn't be that hard to do, right? You add like one more skill to the system, and it just boils down to like a single check when someone is like,
Yeah.
all right, I make some food for the party. Then you could be like, sure, roll like knowledge food or something like that, right? And then you have maybe that has an effect on like how good the food is. Maybe it like lasts the entire day, and like you guys are all stuffed and like you feel you had like a hearty meal, and maybe if it's like really really good, maybe if you get like a nat 20, maybe you get some temporary hit points or something like that, right? Or you have like advantage on your next roll or something like that. And if it's like really crappy, you basically like have to eat something again after
Or you
like
get diarrhea.
yeah, exactly. Or like if the guy who's like doing the cooking rolls like a nat 1, you get like food poisoning or stuff like that, right? Like could be kind of interesting. That's actually like not that bad for for
I
actually
just-
implementing into
I have two fantastic thoughts in my head. Number one is like implementing the exhaustion level to bad food, so you like keep eating bad food and die from exhaustion
Yeah.
of eating shitty food. Or
Yeah,
and number
why
two,
not? You get
One-
scurvy if you don't get like enough, you don't get
Lemon.
enough vitamins and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean like I think that's going it way too much into realism. I would be like, no, thank you, DM. I'll find another table. But like, fair
Well,
enough.
that's the thing. You don't have to go like hard. It's not like the player has to describe like every ingredient in like the way that they prepare it. It would just be like one skill check, right? But it would still be interesting. And
Yeah,
like,
that's-
and what would be cool is that for the people who are really into that they could have
Yeah.
the possibility of being like, you know what, I want to go out and I want to gather like this and this and this herb and like I want to get some different like vegetables and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
Let me make a croissant.
You can
and
expand
that could
on
be
that.
like and that could be like a cool character concept, you know, someone who's like maybe I don't know, maybe you play as like a bard. Really, it wouldn't even be like tied to like a class, but you could just be like, you know what, I'm just an adventurer who like likes cooking for people and like likes using all these different kinds of ingredients.
but
So I
I mean,
travel through the lands and like look for new ways to cook and stuff
Why
like
is
that.
that? Why is that
So-
not
That's
a
very
class?
easily implemented though. Like you just make tool proficiency cooking, and there you go. Like,
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's true.
exactly.
You
That's
can
what I'm
saying.
can definitely.
but yeah, is Wanderer a feat? Did you say?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I just
it's,
imagine.
well, no, it's not a. Sorry, no, it's not a feat. It's
It's a trait.
it's one of those background traits.
Background traits. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine somebody like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the Wanderer, like in my game, like level 1, and he's like, oh yeah, we're in the forest. I'm gonna go and get like some food. I'm gonna go into the wild alone and get some food. You know what I'd do? I'd get on my phone and I've got like a soundboard, and I would play the Dark Soul music when you die.
Yeah.
I'd just look him dead in the eyes and be like, all right, the rest of you, what are you doing? So dangerous. I just realized.
Roll some new stat. Yeah, that's. Have you guys seen the? That's one of my favorite one. Like someone, it's like the rogue checking for traps or something like that, and then the DM is like, roll a d6 for me, and then he like, sure, 4 or whatever, or no, yeah, something
Roll
like
me
that, right? And then
D6, like,
yeah,
you know,
and he's just like over and over. Okay, roll another d6, and then like after a while, it becomes clear that like he's in the process of rolling stats for like a new character because his current character has already died because like he failed the trap finding check and like
Yes,
he's already dead. It's like it's so good. That's so good.
Nice.
so savage.
The player's just like, oh man, I'm rolling a new character. Am I not? And he's like, yep. You got it. Choose a name. Let's get back into it.
That is savage.
That's the only
right
thing
there.
that matters.
So
That's
good.
savage.
Where do you see that, or like?
It was just like a screenshot of
Oh,
like a
okay.
Tumblr
Yeah,
post
I
or
think it was
something
a
like
Reddit
that. It was
post
like,
or
or
something.
like a Reddit post.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just too funny.
I've got
Like,
a
that's so
question to you about settings. So, let's say that you want to use a setting, right? And
Right.
it's not a licensed setting. It's not a setting you've ever interacted with. But you've talked to a bunch of friends. You know, maybe you talked about to me, and you're like, you know what? I mean, Shadowrun sounds like it's very complicated, but I want to get into it. Like, whatever. I'll deal with the system. But the idea of the setting is more important to me, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
I like the idea of the setting. So when you make that initial response of like, yeah, I want to run something in this thing, what's the information that you want? What's the information that you'd be like, you know what? This is the information I need to start. You know, do you want information about a single location?
That's actually really important. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought about it a lot. I'm like, because I was describing what Shadowrun is, like, yeah, but have I described enough? Like, maybe I described the basic concept, but like, you know, if you're gonna be a DM, what kind of information do you feel you'll need in order to start
Yeah.
like, at least session 1?
That's a big thing that I was dealing with like in my preparation for today's session because the players were planning to go to Neverwinter, and it's a pretty big city, and I wanted to represent it like accurately the way that it's like portrayed in the setting. And so I started like looking into all kinds of resources, like how do I portray this properly? Because I don't want to be like, you know, I don't want to find myself in a situation where they ask me like, hey, like what's like the most popular tavern in town, and like who's the person running it or something like that. And then like I don't really know on the spot, so I maybe make up something, but then it's kind of this amalgamation of like information that's actually true to the setting and like things that I'm kind of like coming up with on my own. And then so afterwards, like I look it up because then it like went into my head, and I'm like, you know, I should probably know this for next time. But then I have like this half made up thing and half thing that's actually part of the setting. So I'm like, now I have to like tell them like, oh, actually his name wasn't whatever Bob or whatever. It was actually something completely different. So it's kind of like, nah. So it was kind of hard, like finding stuff as well. Like I found like some old AD&D books from like Volo's Guide to the North or stuff like that. You know, like you really have to like scour all these different resources to basically find stuff that helps you with that.
Yeah, it really depends also who you're playing with. If it's like if it's like a nerd that really likes the setting and does not want to let go of the details, and you stumble over a detail, they will notice, they will say it. and they will call it out. And like I try to avoid playing with those people because I just want to have fun. And you know, if it just happens that you say something that's actually not real in the canon setting, right? Then, I mean, is it that bad? If it works, it works.
It's not
right?
really. It's yeah. It's
Like,
it's more of
like,
an own
I think the party needs to know that once they're on the table, it's kind of the DM that's like driving through their version of the world. And
Yeah, that's true.
like the party can definitely make additions and changes, and it's the table's world. But in the end, the game master kind of pushes it along, and it's kind of their sandbox, and the players can play in that sandbox.
For sure.
Yeah, but that, I mean, that also really depends on the setting, not just the players. Because like, if you wanna run a Warhammer 40k setting, like game, like you gotta stick with the details because the details in that game are unfortunately very important, right? Like, for example, the idea that like somebody could interact with something that's made of chaos or whatever, or like is fused by chaos, and then be okay. That's never gonna happen. That's not a thing that ever happens in Warhammer 40k. There's so many confined rules and like very specific stuff to that setting where
that's true. You
really need the guy who's DMing it at least to know his stuff about the setting. So it's hard
to a certain degree. Definitely, you need to have a definitely a basic set of, like knowledge.
I mean, you don't need to know how many stars there are.
That's. But that was kind of the thing for me. It was that like I wanted to be able to sort of. It was more like a personal aspiration where I wanted to kind of be informed about the setting that I'm running in, but. I guess technically, like I could just kind of change things after the fact, but then like one of the reasons why I chose to like run a published adventure that is takes place in an established sort of setting, is that I don't have to like create all this extra work for myself. Where during sessions, like I change things, and then afterwards I have to like go through my notes again and have to like make sure that next time the guy still has the same name if I'm asked again, right? So normally, one of the advantages of using a published setting is that you have this or you should have this information available. So that's one of the things where obviously like it's actually a very interesting position for me now, or where it's actually going to be beneficial to me is that we finished the adventure that we were running with the group. Today in today's session, and we were also playing just before we started the show. And now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna just go and like homebrew my own setting basically, because we talked to the players and everyone was like, and like I've been interested in it for a while, but I wasn't like sure if I was able to or ever if I felt ready to kind of commit to that, because obviously it is like a lot of work. But yeah, so now since it kind of like fit where we were with the campaign, we were like, all right, you know what, let's just do it. And so then that's gonna be a large benefit, is that I'm gonna be able to just kind of be like, if they ask me about something, I could just tell them whatever I want, as long as I like note it down and it remains consistent over the next sessions, basically.
What was your exact question again, Zuzu? Because I didn't answer it.
Tangent, called it. My question was, you as a person who wants to run in a setting that's already complete, that's not a licensed setting, that's not a setting that you've interacted with and know closely, what's the basic information you feel that you need in order to start running a game in there? Like at least a session 1 in there.
Right. I mean, I guess for me it's pretty simple. Like I'm the kind of guy that likes to just go with the flow, right? And I like to know what's important for the players if I'm the DM, and I want to like focus on that stuff more so than my own. So I guess if I were to have a set world and someone, well, the knowledge that I would need would be very basic. Like it would be very basic.
You don't need like an expansive encyclopedia.
I would not care for that.
But
I like figuring stuff out on my own. If it and I'm okay with failure. So if people say like I really did not enjoy that, then I'd be yeah, okay. What did you not enjoy about that? And I would just talk about that, and I try to fix it. And maybe maybe they really want to focus on those details, and I would like next time focus on those details for them.
okay, so let's. You said you wanted minimal. All right, so let's say I give you the best like 1 page or 2 page information regarding a setting you want to run for. What's on that sheet? What's on those 2 pages? Right. Name of cities. Like important NPCs,
no,
history.
It would be a basic like description of how the world came to be.
Okay, so a bit of history. Yeah.
A little bit of history, so that I kind of know where things are. Depending on how important it is, I would like to know some important cities or some important events, maybe. That kind of have ramifications in today's world, because I don't care that there was like this huge war that like on the other side of the world that doesn't really do much for me. Like I would like to know what is relevant, right? What is relevant now? That's why I don't want extended history, just the basic history. And other than that, like maybe deities, if like depending on how important that is.
I mean, we had a long discussion about deities and their importance in D&D not last week.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, we really disagreed, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, no, you don't understand. No, like,
but usually there's some important element, something unique to your to the setting. Like for instance, the Force in Star Wars. That's the unique thing.
Yeah, you want that on the 2 pages. Yeah.
Like I need that as well, obviously. Like
you're like, what's the Force? It's midichlorians.
My heart. No, don't do the dab. That's like a double heart attack.
Yeah, I was just like double kill. So what you named, most of that anyway. Like I think names of cities, I wouldn't consider that important, or like, cause like.
I mean, it depends, right? If you want to do Lord of the Rings, if you want to play in that world, like you kind of need to know Gondor. You kind of need
right.
Yeah.
But like maybe you would want cities and not just names, but maybe a little history about them if you want to go that route, right? Like because I thought you were just saying names. I'm like, well, names don't tell me anything. Like I don't know anything about these cities, right? Like if I just told you, one of the like there is a city in my world of Volcania called the Molten Crown. You're like, oh, that's cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of lava in there? Like, why is it called that, right?
There would need to be a little bit of information.
Yeah. But yeah, what I think most of the stuff that you named is like the perfect information, not to just know about a setting that you're about to play in, but to create one. And I think it's the 3 mixtures. Number 1, you want something that's like an interesting event that happened in there, that you can like really pull stuff out of as a DM, right? Something that interests you that happened in the history. You want some information of how it how the history has gone about, like why are there these kingdoms together, and you want to know the religion. I think those 3 really important stuff for at least for a fantasy game, like that really like will
maybe
will
like not just the religion, but sort of like some sort of driving force that connects like a lot of the different cities together, right? Like
What do you mean, like an empire or something? Or?
Yeah, exactly. Like something that is sort of like all present in
Oh yeah,
like,
that's what I meant
areas.
by like. Sorry, that's what I meant by history. Like countries. History's made out of.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
That's what I meant.
Because that's actually, it was interesting talking to my players today. One of them brought up that one of the reasons why he like hadn't really enjoyed the Forgotten Realms setting, where like at least the part of it that we were in Faerun at the Sword Coast, was that he felt like there were no sort of institutions that you could call upon to sort of get some help from, right? And like sort of have like an impact in the world, because essentially like they were in this like really small village basically, right? And for example, at the beginning in one of the earlier sessions, there were these bandits in town that have basically like completely taken a hold of the village by just like extorting people and like having them pay for protection money and stuff like that. And since there's no like reigning kingdom or there's no like leading political power that sort of covers the entire region of that land, when they were kind of like thinking of like how are we going to solve this issue, there is like the one sort of small benefit that it makes the players feel more like, there's like no one else in the world that's going to do anything about this. So like if we don't do it, then it's just going to stay the same. So I see that one as a positive. But then he kind of felt like, well, I don't know. He kind of said that it felt like it was so disconnected, and I feel like that's the way that it is for a reason. Like if you actually look into the Forgotten Realm settings, right, you have like Neverwinter and Waterdeep and all these different like cities that are all kind of like city states, and they mainly sort of protect the people like inside of their walls and like maybe some small areas around. But if you're like out in the woods somewhere and you're like the closest city is Neverwinter still, but it's like a couple miles out, like maybe like 100 miles out, like you're not going to be able to basically just like have like Neverwinter. Yeah, exactly. You can't just like call upon the guards of Neverwinter to help you, right? Because like they're busy like rebuilding the city and protecting their own walls. So
I really need you to spawn here.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's also like I'm not gonna like I'm not part of TSR TSR is no longer with us, rest in peace. But also like I'm not part of the Wizards of the Coast either. But the way I would describe it, like, well, why would you want that? Probably because you want the adventurers to be the catalyst of all the adventures, right? Because if you had this big thing that kind of like takes care of all the stuff, like, well, what are heroes for?
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
you can make an interesting setting with those powers that be and needing heroes too. Like I'm not saying you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just easier. It's just easier not to have.
That's actually one of the big things that I'm looking at, like focusing on that more for my homebrew setting, because factions? Yeah, absolutely. I want a lot more like sort of political things happening, because that was so absent in this first adventure that we played. It was just like they were just like going into dungeons and caves and basements and whatever, and like kind of fighting to, sure, they were fighting against some bad guys and stuff like that, but it was like that's actually another issue that we can touch on in a second, with like the issue of published settings making it somewhat difficult, perhaps, that to sort of tie into your characters' backstories. Because, for example, like I was running this adventure pretty much like out of the book, right? Like I didn't change very much.
Yeah.
And they, especially like our Warlock player, felt like he wrote this pretty elaborate backstory that actually I'm really into and I really want to do more things with. But since I was kind of like just fairly linearly going through that adventure, not in the sense that I was like railroading them, but it was just like I asked them what they wanted to do, and they said, all right, we're going to go to this place and like investigate, and then that's what they did, right? It was hard for me to even like find sort of a slot to sort of slot in something that like ties into their backstory. For example, like our Warlock, he sort of as a child accidentally interrupted some sort of like Eldritch ritual, and that's where he got his powers from. He just kind of got lost in the woods and walked into this cave where there was this like coven of warlocks like doing some sort of ritual.
Nice.
And instead of like them sort of spawning whatever entity they were like trying to empower or whatever, it was transferred onto him. And so now they're kind of like hunting after him, right? And so it would have been really sweet if like somehow like in the middle of that adventure I could have been like, all of a sudden you see these like hooded figures show up in town and stuff like that. But there was never any like really like one moment where it felt sort of convenient to put it in there, because a lot of this stuff was kind of like time sensitive because they were trying to like rescue some people that were kidnapped. And sure, it could have been like an interesting sort of point of tension and drama to be like, well, now also there's this happening and now you have to kind of make a choice. But maybe that's on me. Maybe I'm like too careful to try and like not break this thing that I'm given by like running a published adventure. Maybe I look at it too much like this vase, this Chinese vase that's being like put into my hands, and it's kind of like, all right, here, like present this to your players and make sure you don't break it, basically, right?
What I could advise you is create a timeline. Like imagine where your players are, and then just put some events down on that timeline. If you can't do it like naturally between two quotes, that doesn't mean you have to do it. Like maybe a location and an event on that timeline, like this is about when this happens, and you don't have to track it like.
Right.
But like if you know this is about the moment when this is going to happen, maybe you can bring that up. Like it's kind of hard, but for instance, those hooded figures, maybe you put that on there. Like this is about the time where they would show up, so they do.
Right,
And
right.
Then
So
the
you
player
kind of
just has
set
to.
these points where things occurred regardless of what the players
Yeah,
are doing.
exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, like
It like distances you from making those decisions because you'll.
Yeah.
but also like I mean like you know if you listen to this podcast and you think that's a good advice, that is a good advice, but don't like well even if they defeat the bad guy will still like come here because that's what I wrote on my timeline.
No,
right? Like,
no, yeah,
obviously,
of course.
Well, obviously it has to be like sensible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will,
But you know people.
like
They will be like.
maybe you can also have the players discover certain events and prevent them, right?
Yeah.
For instance, perhaps you wrote down at this moment in time a group of bandits ambushes a caravan, right?
In the market. You happen to be in the market.
Yeah,
You mean like?
and the players just happen to learn of this event beforehand.
Yeah.
And they stop it from happening. Maybe they warn the guards, and together they take him down, or something like that. And then that event obviously doesn't occur, but it kind of allows you to create story elements that you don't have to constantly think about because it's right there, right? But yeah,
You create Until Dawn, where you know the butterfly effect, or like
yeah. Right, that's a game.
See, like you got to be careful with stuff like it's a good advice, it's a good idea, but like
Keep it
there's a
basic.
lot of stuff that can keep it civil and keep it not insane. You don't want like I have a timeline of 50 different things that will happen.
No,
I'm keeping track.
Yeah,
I know.
And also, don't write down details. Just like be very, very, very specific. Like around this time, basic location, like where, abouts, and event that happens. So in this example, it would be maybe in 3 days, market, ambush, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then maybe
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think that's one of the things that I'm gonna look into, like for the new campaign, because well, first of all, I kind of want to challenge myself and like start the adventure, or like lead the adventure into kind of a larger city fairly early on. Because I feel like
hold on. Sorry, Wolfzuzu, are you getting robotic voice from him as well?
From Kuo, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought it was just me. Like okay.
Yeah. Can you restart Discord real quick? Like just leave the call and join him back.
Sure.
Might
Yeah.
help.
Give me 1 sec.
Hey, technical issues. Sorry
Yeah,
about that, guys.
yeah.
While you're waiting, click the like button, share this video, and subscribe for more.
You make a great hype person. I just wanna.
Me? Thank you. I try my best. Are you running a campaign now, actually?
Actually, no. I've been so busy lately. I don't have time for anything. Actually, come to think of it, I've been procrastinating for a while now, and I need to stop. I just.
I've been so busy. Actually, I've been doing nothing.
Yeah, no, but it's weird because I think I'm busy but in reality I'm not, and I realize that now as I say it. It's not that I was lying. It's because I.
I know you. Yeah. Look, nobody is that much of a like. I live in my own head where like. I'm always busy. Man, I'm procrastinating. Like, I don't think there's a human being in the world who would do that.
It snapped. Like,
but yeah, it hit you. It hit you. The idea hit you. Yeah, I get that.
Has it gotten any better, or is it?
Yeah, it's still there.
Okay.
Do you remember what you were talking about? Because I wanna bring something up in chat about politics.
I think Kuo was just finishing up by saying like, yeah, he wants to challenge himself. He likes the idea of your of your timeline, and he thinks that like it's gonna be something that he wants to implement. I don't remember what else he had.
He's gone again. He's gone again.
He doesn't care about what you want. Okay, he doesn't want to talk about politics. All right. But I do. Let's talk about politics.
No, actually, I wanted to tell him,
you
like,
got a question for him?
yeah, it's not a question, it's just a comment. Like, he said he wanted to bring more politics into. Oh, and he just
Well,
ruined everything.
ladies and gentlemen, we
That's-
are in a bit of a sticky situation.
Hi guys. Hi. I'm over here now.
Hold on, I'm gonna look at.
Um,
Oh yeah, I'm still fine. See, I'm so perfect.
no, you're in a wrong
that-
window.
Yeah, but I'm still like you can still see me. That's all. Hey guys, I'm not cool, but I'm pretty cool. We'll figure out what's going on. We'll message him. But as this is happening, maybe we should talk about something.
Yeah, no, fine. Like, I'll leave the politics. Like, Priestess of Neptune made a comment, and I want to get into that.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we can talk more about Conan. I think you have more to say, right?
Look, I can't just. I'm not an automatics car. I'm a mechanical car. Like you can't just put me into fifth gear straight away from nowhere. Like I can't just. Conan, like.
I thought you were that was your thing, where like someone said Conan and you would jump on that.
I start jittering about and like it just turns on. No, it's
He might be restarting his
one thing.
computer, actually. Kyo.
Yeah,
Like, he went offline.
Okay. I think, or maybe his internet broke.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah, I'm gonna.
it could happen.
I'm gonna leave it like. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
He returns. The
Oh.
prodigal son returns.
Make sure you're gonna mute yourself in appear.in.
Yeah, in the period on it. Whoa! You're revealing too much information from behind us, ladies and gentlemen. We are all in the same room. This is. Don't worry about it.
That's not how this works. I think people know. I think people know you're using webcam.
Although this
You're
is
using
happening
technology.
from 3 different locations in Russia, Germany, and Belgium. We're all in the same room.
Yeah. Have you never
This is the
heard of
Matrix.
pocket dimensions?
Pocket that. Okay, Ant-Man. He's
There
back
we
with
go.
us.
And he's in Discord.
Alright, can you guys hear me?
Now I
Yeah.
can hear you double.
Yeah,
Because
crystal
you're
clear.
not muted in appear.in.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
There we
Should be
go.
fixed.
There we go. I think that's better.
It's really weird. My audio interface sometimes just like crashes or something, and then it just goes like full robo.
Okay, beautiful. So I want to bring it back. You were talking about you wanted to do more politics, and Priestess of Neptune brought something up, where you need to set your adventure in a city.
Yeah.
To create more political and religious intrigue, but I think that goes a little bit further. I just think you need more people, which is usually found in cities. Like, you just need more people because more people means more groups of people, because we have this
Right.
natural habit of creating groups. And
I mean, she gave a specific example
Yeah.
about
Yeah, exactly.
Forgotten Realms, right? So she's talking
Oh.
about in Forgotten Realms, if you want more politics, that's where
Right, right.
there
But
we
I don't think that you just like that's a right opinion, right? Like, yeah, in a bigger city there will be more factions closer together who will be constantly interacting, right? Like, you know, that's how mafia works start, right? They're all each on each other's turf, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" And they start.
I mean,
shooting each
that's the simplistic way, but you can go further than that. Like, you can.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if you want a more elaborate one, you can have like entire factions that are like, so like for example, in one of my games where everyone is a dwarf, or used to be, a bunch of people died, so now that they've changed like races and stuff, they've put
Right.
new characters in. But we started
people die.
as all dwarfs, right?
Oh,
Like,
that's the funniest. People dying.
okay. Don't worry about it. Just click like, subscribe. Don't think about that comment whatsoever. What we got here is a bunch of factions that are fighting for one thing, and they are intercontinental. So we have an inquisition from the Empire that comes like far, far from the east. We have the the government of Mordian who are like, yeah, we want this thing as well. We have a bunch of people who have been hired to do this. We have a religious sect who also feel like they want this thing, that, and everyone is fighting for it, right? So because of that, you have this global feeling that like everyone is center pointing on this because it's important. But in reality, what happens is like just this branch of this organization has been given a task of we need this, and there's a bunch of them, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that I think that way, not only do you make it feel like the world is bigger, because like there's these different kingdoms that are maybe thinking of invading yours or so on and so forth, but also you're creating a situation in which the players need to turn on their brain and be like, what's going on here? Why is everyone going after this? Like, who's playing this game and why do they need it, right? Like, and maybe you as a dungeon master don't have all the answers. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, but go on.
You don't. Yeah, you don't have all the answers to that. Like maybe you don't know why the Empire wants this, or like you don't know why the Inquisition wants this. But because your players start thinking about it, they start to get invested, and you start to get invested, and therefore you work with it together because they probably have some cool ideas, and so do you. I don't mean that like you entirely tell them, all right, let's make the plot together, but because they're trying to figure it out and they're looking at the clues, they will create amazing stories that will not only will leave them fascinated, but also you, if you don't have everything figured out. So I think that's where politics really kicks in as a good thing for like any setting.
What actually I wanted to say was like it depends on the scale, like how big you want to focus on it, like how much you want to focus on this, and what is important to you. Like every faction would have a goal, and they would not necessarily always interrupt other factions if those other factions don't care about that goal or have mutual interests. Like it becomes interesting when you create flavor for each faction, but that doesn't always have to be in huge scales, like where once one kingdom fights another kingdom. You can focus on like very small things as well, like a reasonably sized town. I think the moment you get like 50 people in a town, you can kind of get some real politics in there, right? I mean, you can do it with 4 people where everyone does their own thing, but that's the player group, right? That's the group. That's less interesting. But what I wanted to say was like you can do someone gets to be in charge, like one faction gets to be in charge of one element of that town or city or whatever, and you can really
like Frank and his boys, they control the water supply or something.
Yeah,
like
something like not necessarily like in a bad way. Like that can be like someone has to run it. Yeah. But you made it sound exactly. you made it sound for some reason like they were part of the mafia, right? Like, like I don't know. Was that just me? It might just be me.
Maybe you're just projecting the fact that I'm Russian. You know, like.
Hey, I'm not part of this.
No, but I'm kidding.
But yeah, you get what I'm saying.
So right? What you're saying is you are in the mafia, obviously.
Exactly.
What?
But
I'm not allowed to answer
Kuo, you get what I'm saying, right? But I'm just.
Yeah, for sure.
I totally understand where you're coming from as well. I think maybe what I was trying to say kind of got lost in the fact that I was trying to tell a story as well as I was trying to make a point. Like of course you don't have to make it like something big or something that's a similar goal, but you can make it like everybody wants the same thing but for different reasons, right? Like let's say that everybody wants this large building. The religious sect thinks that it used to be a temple and there's a like amazing artifact that's in there. The Empire thinks it's a good strategical point to begin their invasion somewhere, or like to just have an outpost for war, right? The Mafia thinks that this is really close to our other gig where we get a lot of money, so we can get that money and stash it here, right? Like you could have different factions wanting the same thing for different reasons, but you could also have them as they want different things and they have different reasons for it. But it's like in order to get there or something, again, they have to clash in some way. They have.
I think that is an interesting like topic for a faction, like or for politics. Like if you want to create
maybe
conflict.
we should talk about that.
But like if you want to create politics in general, I think you need to just create like as many factions as you want, basically, and give them a goal, a direction to work in. And
sure.
Then you can create those points, like Wolfzuzu mentioned. So, but I definitely think that they need to first create some sort of individuality, right? What sets them apart from the rest? What is their goal? What do they want to do? A religious thing could be like just like get more people to follow their religion, right? Get more people in there for it.
Right.
Or it could be more sinister, like right there, they want to sacrifice everybody to the dark god.
Exactly. Why do you have to
Right?
go dark? I don't know, but you keep doing it.
You literally did that 10 minutes ago. You can't accuse me of like, oh, you're such a terrible man. Like, what are
No,
you?
it's just
It's factually wrong. You're the monster, not me. Yeah, I guess I know where you're coming from. I think setting wise, a lot of them fail in incorporating one or the other. Like, for example, there is a bunch of cool ass gangs in Shadowrun, like the Halloweeners or the Jesters or whatever. But they have all these cool flavors. Like one of them have like jack-o'-lanterns and they only ride on motorcycles. But I have no idea what they want to do and what's their goal.
I mean, they're gangs, right? Like,
Yeah, but
what do gangs
look,
want to do?
It could be as basic as the Halloweeners control the drug traffic, or the Halloweeners have a protection racket.
Yeah, you need like different schemes that they run, basically, right?
Or something. But if they're a gang and they hang about and they're ruffians, I'm like, what do I do with that? I mean, yeah, cool, they have jack-o'-lanterns on their head, but the flavor is not enough. I need to know what they're doing. So I would say if you're I'm going to disagree with you. And I'm going to say that you need to know what they want to do first, then you can create flowers.
I did say, sir, that you should give them a goal, but a general goal, not a specific one, like a direction.
All right, fair enough.
No, I said like give them a direction, but don't give them a point that they have to get.
No, maybe then I misunderstood you though. Then okay, fair enough. I thought
Well, you can just give them like an agenda, right? You don't have to.
Exactly.
You know, the goal doesn't have to be like they want to get this one item or something like that, right? The goal can just be like we want to control this subset of the city, and we want to be like in charge of drug trade and stuff like that, right? Like that's just have like general things that inform how they behave from like day to day, basically.
Yeah, and then you can start going to specific things. For instance, that example you brought up earlier about this huge ass house or whatever. That everyone wanted. Like maybe they won it because of their goal, because that would be an excellent place to store their crack, right?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I said. Like that's why I brought that as a like as an example, because like not only it's like
you're part of the map.
Frank and the boys. I'm turning it out like American Italian. All right, guys, let's get some spaghetti. I don't know. So that's exactly why I brought it as an example, because not only do they have to clash because they need to get this goal, but like their goal aligns with who they are. If they're a gang, they want to stash some money in there. Like if they're like a bunch of soldiers, they're like, yeah, this is a good point where we can wage war from, like a good bastion. Like if they're a religious sect, like this is our temple. Like every faction as a whole should feel like what they're about fascinates like colors the faction. But you should never forget the fact that like they actually need goals. They can't just be like, yeah, we're the mad prophets, and that's what all we do. All we do is talk to people about the fact that we're mad prophets. I mean, like, okay, so
yeah,
what's the big deal?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe you're playing the long game and you're like, all those people are crazy.
Turning into Seinfeld. It's like, what's the deal with the prophets?
All right, guys. One time. I'll see you later. Yeah, what's the deal with the prophets? Well, yeah, maybe you're playing like the long game, and you want them to be like, yeah, they're actually all right. They sit about because they know the end of the world is in a year.
Yeah.
Like, good luck, PCs. Try and stop it. You're like, yeah, okay, but yeah, don't make a faction just because you want a faction. Right? Like, have an idea for them.
I would say you don't have to have the idea first. Like, if you want to have a faction, you can, like, make it. You can make a faction.
Yeah.
You don't have to you don't have to have an idea first. I think if you want to have a faction, you can definitely make a faction work, right?
For
Look,
sure.
if you want to buy a car but you don't have driving license, like do it, man. Like why not?
Wait,
like, you know.
whoa, no.
That was a terrible, terrible example.
Yeah, I don't think
What?
that works.
What?
I don't think that works in any way. Like what
No,
I'm
I
saying.
mean,
Oh, why would you buy a car if you don't
No,
have
I'm
driving
not.
license?
Like what I'm saying. Like
That was just a terrible example. That just doesn't connect well at all. Like
Yeah.
I think you could definitely be like I just want to have a faction that just has like I don't know, maybe they're all like Dragonborn, right? Like maybe it's just
Sure.
this gang of Dragonborn and like they
What-
all wear like I don't know, like this awesome
Tank top.
shirt, yeah, whatever. they're all like gym bros, you know, they all wear like
Yes!
tank tops and like
oh no, I want that
Yo,
now.
bro.
I want
tanks
that
all
now.
exactly. They're all like total bros, you know, and then like if you just have like this idea, then you can still think about like what their agenda is later on.
No,
Like,
I'm not saying that like I'm just saying you shouldn't stop at they're just cool gym bros. Like why do you want to introduce them into the game? Like, what's the
I
point?
still want to make a faction now that
No,
it's
we're-
just called
dude.
the Dragon Bros. It's just,
The Dragon Bros, high five. Let's do it.
that's-
Look,
Oh, man.
just name an NPC like Nikki or something in there. The head gymmer. I do the most benches. I love that idea.
I
But no,
need
like,
that now. I need that now.
like if you get a car, get driving license.
no,
That's
no, but hold on. Stop with that
that's
example
that's,
because
that's
it's
a really bad
horrible.
example.
No,
It's time to
cars.
stop.
it's
But like if you have that idea for that flavor, then you can work
Yeah,
on that, right?
Yeah,
then
exactly.
you
Yeah,
can then you
yeah,
can start
yeah.
thinking, okay,
Yes.
if that's
Yeah.
who they are
Alright.
for whatever reason, how can I make that work? What is their goal? What is their agenda?
yes.
But you don't
Get
like.
the driving license.
Yes, girl.
But,
Yes.
but I'm just saying that you can go in both directions, right? You don't have to have the agenda
yeah,
first.
absolutely.
Okay. No, I understand. I agree with that. I'm just
Another
saying, like,
Yes.
get the license after that.
Another
After you buy the
setting.
car,
Another
get-
setting. Shut up. Another setting.
You're the worst.
Another setting I really want to talk about is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Movie doesn't exist. Series. Do I ever want that? Man, that'd be so cool. And
That'd be pretty sweet, actually.
yeah,
You have the
it's-
factions already.
yeah. I would like to not include the Avatar in the adventures because I think that's that might be something like you don't want to be part of, right? And
Yeah,
that-
that's
and
see
you
that,
don't
that's
have to
Matrix problem.
yeah, but
Yeah,
you don't.
but then we also get to where like you can basically like you can turn it into your own thing again, where maybe the avatar isn't like this guy that's trying to save everyone. Maybe he's a bad guy. Maybe he's the villain. Maybe he's like the big. Maybe he's like the villain at the very end of the adventure. Or
Well,
maybe he's just like this. Maybe he's just like this random guy. He's just like this NPC that like he's like a shop owner that you like run into and he doesn't even know or some shit like that. Like
That, I mean, that'd be weird.
That's
but,
spicy. That's spicy.
I mean, you can definitely do that in your own thing, but if you want to look at,
I don't want.
you can do that if you want to do something that's terrible. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do something that's
No,
cool.
what
You
I-
can
what I
break
actually
from
wanted to say was,
conviction. I'm
if
going
you-
home. Like,
No, sorry.
If
Go
you
go
wanna
on. I'm
stay
interested
true-
like hearing what.
if you want
Yeah,
to
no,
stay true to
that's
the setting,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Avatar is always the good guy because of this. Well, like I think he's always the good guy, right? Am I wrong? Am I mistaken? In
one
that?
of them, like,
Well, probably in like the established universe, probably.
Yeah.
But
No,
I mean,
no,
like
no,
in
no,
your
no,
own
they-
game, you can totally turn it into whatever you want, right?
I mean, the one that's like the one before the fire one, the Earth woman,
Yeah,
who has her own island named after her. I can't remember
yeah,
the name.
yeah.
of it.
I
But, like,
remember.
she cold-blooded murders an entire army, right? Like, what do
Well,
we mean
she
as
didn't
good or
murder
bad?
them, right? She
Yeah, she like broke the earth, and then a bunch of them fell into, like, not all of them died, but a bunch of them fell in, especially the general, and she was like, yeah.
No, specifically, it was
Yeah.
specifically the general. I think the army was way in the back. I remember that fairly well, and I think it was she. The only reason she killed the general was because the general didn't want to move. right?
Maybe you're right, but like
And
there's
on
an
top
entire
of that,
arc.
on top of that,
Tangent.
exactly. On top of that,
tangent.
she didn't want to. She didn't even want to kill anyone. She was just protecting her village. She didn't want to
Right.
come under the
But
rule.
she didn't hesitate for him to die, right? Like, and that's like the
But
whole
is that
arc
evil?
of Aang.
I guess
See
that's
this motion I'm
Hold
doing?
on, hold on.
See this motion I'm doing?
Yeah.
It's called bringing it back in.
What? Just let me make one point, and I'll be gone. Thought. The entire arc of Aang at the end of the last season is: should I kill this guy? Yes or no? Every single avatar's like, yes. Murder the fuck out of him. Like, no problem. He is the worst guy. You should kill him. And he's like, yeah. Well, how did you deal with this situation when it was your turn? And he's like, yeah, I killed somebody. Like, they were like, yeah, man, we're all murderers. Like, what do you count as good? What do you count as bad?
maybe.
That's a question for
I
another
guess-
stream.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it though? Because it's part of the setting, right? It's part of the setting. It's definitely something very important. But
Well,
yeah, if you
what's
don't,
like what's the main reason why you would want to run a campaign like specifically in that setting? What's the thing that like appeals to you about that?
just I guess the I can tell you what my least favorite thing about it is the spirit world. But what's my
what?
favorite? The spirit world.
The Korra stuff.
Yeah, I have no idea about that. So
Not just the Korra stuff, like the spirit world in general. Like it's brought up constantly in well,
Yeah,
not
but it's more
constantly.
like in the first one, isn't it more like, oh yeah, this is where the force comes from, but we're not gonna explain how it exactly works.
No. It's more of a I don't think I'm not sure. They never say that one has to do with the other. Like he goes into
Yeah, no, like that's exactly it. Because like he goes to the swamp to get more to get better at bending.
What?
Korra goes to
Oh,
like.
right. Yeah.
Oh, you're just talking about just the original? You're not
No. I was just confused where you were at.
Oh, okay.
Look, in general,
no,
though,
like-
the thing. Oh, sorry. But specifically, rather, what I really like about that world is just the way the between two quote magic works.
Yeah. Okay.
It's because like it's not magic for them. For us, it's obviously something magical because it's impossible. But the way it works, that is the way I want to do magic. It's definitely more appealing to me than any other way. Being able to just manipulate the elements, it makes just some more sense to me. Because it doesn't cop out. It doesn't do the cop out answer because magic. There is reasons for like there is like rules and limits to what they can do. They can't just have a wish basically or.
Dude, Sir Waffle in chat just drew. You know, I said Halloweeners. So he drew a guy with a Halloween jack-o'-lantern hat and holding wieners as in the hot dogs. the Halloweeners.
That's great.
I mean, I love the fact in the world of avatars, like, you know, the guy has power to control fire. So what does he do? Oh, I'm gonna heat up some tea. And that's how he gets caught by the earthbenders. He's like, yeah, I was heating up some tea because it was cold. Like, that's so cool that, like, it really makes it feel like the magic they use, the bending, is such a normal thing for everybody.
Yeah, and
like,
that's what I like. I want that to be normal. I want that to be part of the world, and it lives and breathes.
Right.
And, like, I have my own setting where that is the method, right? That is how people interact with that. It is part of their world, and it's not something magical. It's something fairly normal. Also, Sir Crackwaffle in chat says Arrow is the best. Arrow is the best.
Arrow is the best.
Arrow is the best. There's no
Sure.
one better than Arrow. Yeah.
Have you watched it, Kuo? Have you watched Avatar?
Nope. I recently started, but
that
haven't
hurts.
watched it yet.
It hurts my heart a little bit. It's
Yeah.
just
Well, I'm
so-
glad we didn't spoil anything because I was like, did we say anything? Yeah. I don't think so.
No, not really. Yeah, like I definitely recommend it. Not the movie.
Yeah.
Movie doesn't exist. Don't. Movie doesn't exist.
Look, every time you mention it, like a kitten gets sad. Can you just stop? Even.
But
doesn't-
just know. You need to know it.
No.
You
So
need
basically,
to know.
I should watch the movie first and then not watch the series, right?
Driving license card. Like, the power of Christ compels you. Don't talk about it. No, but I think a good point here is like a lot of settings have a problem where there's either like information under and information overload, and Avatar, thinking about it, has the best medium because it doesn't try to explain everything in the show.
Yeah.
Like it leaves a lot of stuff where you can like, I can really like bend around a lot of stuff. But also there's enough detail where you're like, yeah, man, I'd really want to walk the like the streets of Ba Sing Se and see how that's like.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of material there that you can use, and you can add as well. Because if I'm not correct, the world is actually fairly small, like in scale, like actual physical scale, like.
Like you can get in a week towards Fire Nation from Earth, like Nation, something like that.
It's fairly small, but you can definitely expand on that, and it's definitely a world I want to see. Just have a like mechanics.
I know this is mega off topic, but what's your take on Korra? What do you think of Korra?
Like I don't know.
Like
it's fine. It does some things I don't like. It does some things I do enjoy. Like, I like the way they handle politics and like have a somewhat more mature take on it. She's obviously like this teenager. Is she like how old is she?
She's like 21, like 20.
Yeah. Yeah, she is a little bit older than a teenager, but she still has that immaturity, which I to like work.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Aang is much more adult than her.
Yeah, actually, that's true.
But Aang's entire people were killed, and he's like he lives in a time where everything rests on him. If he fails, he's like, it's all gone.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. It's kind of interesting, actually, that I've never seen even a homebrew of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Maybe there is one, but I haven't heard anything about it. That'd be very interesting to see.
I mean, it might exist. It might exist.
Might exist. Yeah.
It's
probably
just,
crap too.
All right, I got another setting. If you guys don't.
Yeah, go on. What would you got? Well, I've got one, but like if you want to talk about it.
No, go first. Go first. This one is an obvious one. The one I have.
Now you make me intrigued, but I'm not gonna go for it. I'm gonna say my one, and it's a very quick one. If you, as a dungeon master, are bored for just a couple of sessions from your own setting, and you're playing in a setting that's sort of like D&D, you can always turn to Ravenloft, because the beauty of Ravenloft is that it's a setting that exists kind of in every setting and no setting at all, because it's its own little thing, and the way you get to it is a bunch of, like, in the night usually, a bunch of fog comes around and teleports you to Ravenloft. And it's a really cool, dark setting.
Isn't that the one for one of the published adventures?
Curse of Strahd.
Curse of Strahd, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the better published adventures. I never run them, but I own them all just because I like to keep up with stuff, because they usually put some cool magical items in there or cool new monsters, so I use it for that. But yeah, like I've actually read Curse of Strahd, and it's pretty cool. It's very well made for a published adventure. There's a lot of freeway. There's a lot of stuff that you can do in between. There's also a lot of room to implement your own stuff. But the main point of Ravenloft is that it was made to basically be like, okay, for a couple of sessions, I'm really bored of whatever the hell is going on in our setting, in our session. Everything is boring. So let me like throw you into the world of dark fantasy, where like there's bats, and they like fly around and take children, and then there's like this this horrible doll-like creature that lives in the crypts of dead mothers. And it's like there's some stuff in there. Like if you look at the compendium of monsters for Ravenloft for 2nd edition, it's spooky scare skeletons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really cool setting to just like dip your toe into for a session or two. You don't have to study a lot for it, right? Like all you need to know is like basically in the first 20 pages of any book about Ravenloft, and
Right.
anyone can do it just because it's like a setting so separate from everything else. So yeah, I think Ravenloft is one of those perfect things where like even though it's with the same characters, you can have like a little one shot in it.
You're talking about like the teleporting the existing characters into another
Yeah,
world.
yeah, you can do that. Yeah, no
I
problem
mean,
at all.
okay, but then it depends on what setting you're in, right? Then you have to be playing a setting where that is possible, right? You can't just do that. Like you can't really do that in Shadowrun, right? Like you're
No. I was
you're
talking about
specifically
if you're playing a fantasy / D&D setting.
Yeah, exactly. Like your standard, like standardish.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you know, if you look at it, I think like 90% of all groups are probably playing either fantasy or D&D specifically. Like, which maybe I'm wrong actually. Maybe there's.
I don't know. I don't know if that is correct, but I definitely think a large portion of them are.
Yeah, like a big margin.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not perfect for everything, obviously, but I like it as it's like this very small thing that you can get a gist of just from one session. Like it's good for that. You can also run a campaign in it, obviously. But I really like it as a setting because of that. Sorry, go on.
Was that?
Oh,
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, okay. I thought.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, cool.
It seems like a really cool setting, yeah.
You're right,
but yeah.
Suzu. You're right. Yes, Suzu. Yes.
Finally, some
Suzu,
approval.
Yes. You're right, Zuzu. Yes.
Keep it up. Right. So what was your setting that you really liked?
Lovecraftian, man. Lovecraftian.
Oh,
It's the
Yeah,
it's
that's some
the,
good stuff.
It's the world. It's the best one. Right? The best one.
I'm sorry. You want to go on record?
No, I don't.
Say that?
No, I don't.
No, he pushed out the last second.
Nah, I mean, it's definitely good. Definitely good, but there might be. I don't know. I'm not.
The best is a strong title, dude.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't know. I don't know enough about it, honestly. Like I know a fair amount, but I'm not an expert Lovecraftian. You know.
I mean,
historian. If that exists.
if we're looking at like Call of Cthulhu, and that's the game you want to play, and from the sound of it, I haven't played
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Make fun of me because I'm a foreigner.
I am, yeah.
I am. Yeah. Okay.
Also, what do you mean foreigner?
Well, like you have a normal accent. You have like an American-like accent, right?
Right.
Although you're from Germany. I have I think I have a very like my accent is
You're not,
major. No?
It's fine. I wouldn't say it's pronounced like your accent.
No, not at all, actually. I think it's fairly neutral.
Guys, 2 compliments in the past 10 minutes. Like, what's going on? Like, am I getting booted out? Like, am I getting?
You are actually. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. This was your last show.
This was
your last episode on the show. Like, we're booting you.
Get out of here! But yeah, like, if we're talking about COC, I'm not gonna say. I don't know how to say the name of that god. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think you would. I think it.
It's
I think
Cthulian, of course.
Look, let me say my point, and then you can make fun of my grammar.
It's Cthulhu.
Just call it Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. I come from Zimbabwe. We worship Cthulhu. Right. So we have a system that I think you as a casual person would hate.
I mean, I'm talking about the setting. I'm not. I'm
oh, right, like.
Yeah, I'm just
saying. Are you
saying
calling us casuals?
Is it?
I'm calling Nova casual.
Wow. Well, go on.
I mean, you're like, oh, I'm easy, laid back. I don't really mind. Like, like, how is that not casual? Like, I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm not meaning like, oh, I feel for casual. Don't know how to play Dark Souls. Like, I'm not. get good IRL.
Oh, let's not go into that. Hold on. Don't call me out on my Dark Souls skills. Don't you dare, son.
Well, yeah, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not doing
Want a
that. I'm just
1v1?
saying that
Want a 1v1? Want to go, bro? Want to go?
Okay, but no Estus flasks. You can't use magic or clerics, and you gotta use the Japanese sword.
1v1
I
at
meet
sun.
you at dawn at 12 p.m. Like,
Doesn't even make sense.
no, I know that's the joke. But yeah, like, I didn't mean it as an insult. Like, I'm just saying that, like,
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
But yeah, no. Is that not a world, or is that not something you would like to use in your settings? Like some of the creatures, maybe. Like there's so much
mean,
Yeah,
weirdness
that
in
for,
there.
that for sure.
The corruption.
Yeah, I
Russian-
definitely use a lot of themes of that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. There seem to be a lot of interesting sort of horrors that you can use for your setting.
I love the idea of like making a world where everyone thinks it's normal gods, but then under those visages are actually like eldritch horrors and horrible shit, and nobody know like. It's not like nobody knows about it, but like most people are like, no, he's a cool guy. Like he you know saves people, but like if you find an actual ritualistic cleric of that, like oh he's a fucking serial killer or something. Like
Right.
it's horrible. Yeah.
Oh
That'd be cool.
God! Imagine the afterlife in that world. Like you follow this god.
Oh.
You follow this
Yeah.
god your entire life. You think he's good for everything, and then you end up being like your soul gets ripped down into his tentatively
Yeah, he
embrace.
just eats you constantly, right? Like
And
that's
then-
your eternity now.
And then then you probably get like tortured for an extremely long time, and then you become one of his minions, right?
Oh, that's so awful.
Yeah. I guess
Terrible.
at a certain point you just don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like if they keep like poking you with a stick, you're like, oh, whatever, dude. Like, but like, I mean, it's got to be a long time for that to set in for like you not caring.
Yeah, that's true. But like the idea is actually interesting to bring that in and maybe use it for the players. Like have some mutations. That's one of the fun things, man. Just have mutations.
Yeah, I mean that's why Warhammer 40k is so fun. Like, oh, you touched the warp stone. Well, your hand is now a tentacle. Like,
Yeah.
good luck.
You now have a spike for a penis.
I think, and on that note, we're gonna finish the podcast.
All right, we've been going.
That's
for
how you
2
want to
hours.
finish it. Okay.
Well, look, I didn't say it.
No, we've
just
been going
about
for 2
time,
hours.
and-
You're right. I have actually lost track of time a little bit. Should have ended
Yeah,
a little bit earlier, but that's fine. So, yeah, we should definitely just do shout outs here. Wolfzuzu, how about you go first?
Guys, you can find me on Twitter. The name is below, right there. It's my real name. Zuv thingy Nikita. I don't know how it's called. Look, stop
Wolf, those are
criticizing
called
me.
words,
I'm
my
an old person. I'm also on Discord. I'm in Nova's chat if you want to see me there. There's also a section about for questions there if you want. We might because I realized how can they ask questions if they don't know what's the next what's the next week is going to be about? So I don't know how we.
I mean,
Well,
we
we
can
It's
have
not like we
a-
have pre-planned topics. We can
That's-
actually just use some of the questions and
Yeah.
to
and,
catalyst. Yeah, so
yeah.
definitely ask a question there. Leave a like, subscribe, and watch us on YouTube because we need that count. Look, we need the money. All right, I'm just being honest with you.
I just
We get nothing, so we need the. I'm joking.
no,
I
we
hope
got
you
10
enjoyed the
bits. What are you
content.
talking about?
Oh, that's true. How many?
10.
That's what I'm talking about. Right. 100 more of those, and we're good. for
And then
the
we have
month.
like
Just don't listen to him.
Yeah.
Just ignore him. He's,
No,
it's his last time on the show. Just let him go a little crazy. It's fine.
He's having a mental breakdown because he just found out he's being kicked out. Look, for 2 hours they've been doing nothing but listening to us. So I think telling them don't listen to me is kind of like, you know.
Well, yeah. If you made it this far, first of all,
I guess-
sorry, and also.
But yeah, I've really enjoyed tonight. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and yeah, that's it for me.
KuoGames. Take it away.
Man, there's not that much to say. We definitely, I think we definitely should. Just by the way, for next time, we should totally talk about some video game stuff as well. Again, I missed that this time. Aside from that, man, what's going on with me? Well, I'm going to be spending most of my time now working on my homebrew setting, so that's going to be interesting. I'll try and bring that up every once in a while again during the show. So yeah, that could be interesting. Maybe I don't know. I might have some ideas for things we can do on the show in sort of connection to that as well.
Yes,
Maybe we can do some sort of like viewer participation and bring, maybe come up with some interesting things for the setting. Maybe, come up with a faction together or like create an NPC or stuff like that. And
that might be cool.
I think that'd be interesting as well because it would kind of like show off like how 3 different people sort of go about, creating an NPC or creating a city or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we'd have to establish some kind of ground rules or something like, because like it can get out of hand. It would be like, no, he's a gym dragonborn. And you're like, no, he's a ballerina. I don't know. We could argue about it.
Yeah.
Or
But yeah, other than that, I'm also on Twitter and sometimes on Twitch, and yeah, that's about it.
Sometimes on Twitch.
Yeah, sometimes on Twitch.
Definitely follow him. Definitely follow him. Actually, are you hosting us?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Of course.
Nice. Okay.
I thought you could be absolutely not.
Can you can type your like link into chat if you want. Just.
Oh, it's just KuoGames. You can just find me as KuoGames.
All right. All right. I was just offering. I mean, next time I'm gonna do it without your permission. Just type it in.
Sure. Sure thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, and for the rest, I am Novarias. You can find me here on Twitch occasionally.
So you can fight me here on Twitch?
Well, you can fight me and you can find me. I haven't been streaming a lot. As I said, I've been procrastinating with video games, which is weird because I actually could be streaming them, but at the same time.
Who does that?
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I should just stream it. But I'm actually gonna be streaming Dead Cells again. Like I used to stream that.
Oh.
It's being released the 7th, and I definitely wanna get back into it. I remember that game fondly, and not just because it's a good game, but because at the end of the game, they like kick you in the balls.
Is this spoilers?
Nah.
Okay.
No, because it's like the end of the game's in early access, so you're never gonna be able to get there again. Like they really kicked me in the balls. They really did. They just
that doesn't sound nice.
No, it's like you complete it. They don't literally kick me in the balls because that'd be physically impossible unless they come over here and kick me in the literal balls. But the mental balls they did kick me in because it's just I don't.
And with that, I think we're.
And with that, I think we're done.
This game really devolved over like the last 30 minutes.
You know what?
Look,
I think it's
it was
fine.
enjoyable.
I think it's fine. It is the ingredient of a great podcast. Tangents.
Dude,
Sure.
Tangents. Right. See you later, Halloweeners.
Bye bye.